So we're here back, part 2 of SLU-PP-332, part 2. So we're going to take it slow, guys, so we can understand every step in this descriptive part, and then we can then transition into like the actions and then how to use it and why it's so beneficial. So, and where the application lies. So SLU-PP-332 is a synthetic peptide which is an estrogen related receptor agonist. So what that means, and it works on alpha, beta and gamma parts of this receptor, and the different parts mean there's going to be different actions. So there was a version of this, an early generational version, didn't have the alpha receptor, it didn't have the same properties as this does. So because it's working on this related estrogen related or ERR related receptor, and it's got the alpha, it's predominantly the alpha part of the receptor that's working on, it mimics the physiological activity of exercise, which means it gets our mitochondria. Now, people describe the mitochondria as the energy factories of our body. It's where the energy is created through something called the Krebs cycle. We take our nutrients and we break it down through this, what's called the Krebs cycle. We make ATP or energy, but the mitochondria do a billion other things as well. So it isn't just an energy producing factory. But in simple terms, what happens, because your body is now stimulated with this agonist, it believes that it's exercising, and that increases the energy consumption of the mitochondria. So, and these agonists are expressed in things like heart tissue, liver tissue, kidney tissue, all over the body. So we get this effect of exercising even when we're not exercising, and we then increase energy consumption, calorie burning of all our nutrients. So what's been seen in studies, mostly with animals and mice, with rodent studies, is that even when they're obese, you can give them this peptide and they'll start to get lean. They'll start to be less obese. They'll start to be burning body fat more effectively. So one of the first things that we can talk about that SLU-PP-332 does is, even with the same calorie load and the same output of energy through exercise, everything remains the same. We start taking the peptide. What we can see is that we start to burn body fat in a larger way. Depending on dose, that kind of stuff, we're going to have an effect of like exercise taking place, burning more energy, and what we describe it as is increasing the spin of the mitochondria. So now it's more effective. So what this translates into in real terms is that we have better cardiovascular ability, so more endurance, better recovery. We also have increases in strength and so on, because our mitochondria is working much better. Now, the other thing that it does is something called biogenesis, which means that it helps to create new mitochondria, new and better ones. So when cells in our body are now working effectively, what happens? Our body goes through a process of what's called apoptosis, where it destroys old damaged cells. And as a whole another series, we can talk about apoptosis and why it's important and and how it works with health. But generally speaking, this is going to improve the biosynthesis of new healthy mitochondria and help to get rid of the ones that aren't working as effectively. So without going too far ahead, most athletes have really good mitochondria, and therefore the dosing strategy for this product needs to be less, because they already have really healthy mitochondria. Someone who's dysfunctional or sick will need more, because they've got unhealthy mitochondria. They need to get rid of the bad stuff and then create new stuff. So to summarize this second part, is that we know it's a synthetic peptide. We know it works on the estrogen related receptor, and alpha is one of the important parts of the receptor there, and that causes, along with the beta and the gamma, to create a physiological response that is very similar to us exercising, and therefore we increase the energy consumption of our body, and therefore we can start to burn body fat. And it's also create what's called biogenesis and start creating new and more effective mitochondria, which translates into better performance in cardiovascular aspects and recovery, endurance, and so on. So that is the first part of part 2. We're going to go into other parts as well, so we're going to build speed as we go through. So I hope that you understand now the principles of 2 of the effects that this can have, and that it's a synthetic peptide working in mitochondria. Any questions as we go through these, please ask, and I'll try and keep this in a way that we're going to sequentially build on the information so we don't miss anything, and we can be fully informed about why it works the way it does, and then also talk about dosing and how to do it effectively for different types of people.